Ready?
Attention, attention.
You're live. Okay, it is December 8th, 2022. It is about 7:00 something, 7:08, 7:08 p.m. And this is the Village of Minerva Park Council meeting. Starting tonight, we will do roll call. Councilperson Coss. Present. Councilperson Tresta is excused. Councilperson Cameron. Council President Wolf. Here. Councilperson Bruger. Here. Councilperson McNamara. Present. All right, and then let's do pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then we have meeting minutes for November 10th, council meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any extensions? Anything? Okay. November 17th, council meeting minutes.
Later appeal for 1 month. Our recorder did not be turned on. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. We just did, just for that record, we just approved the council meeting minutes for November 10th. Now we're going to move to November 17th, council meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any extensions? And then let's move to work session meeting minutes, December 1st.
Move to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Extensions? All right. Going to the village official reports. Let's start with Chief Delp for police.
I don't have anything to add this time to the report I submitted.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Chief at this time? Okay. Jeffrey Wilczek is excused for tonight. He has been at the last few meetings and we've gone over quite a bit for some of our ordinances, so I think we've been covered on finance at this point. But if anybody does have any problems, questions, concerns, you may reach out to him via email or myself, or reach out to Brian.
Sure.
All right, Mike Flickinger for engineer. His engineering report is as follows. Task order number 18 is the 2021 storm sewer improvement project. Using the as-built information provided by the contractor, they updated the village storm sewer GIS documentation. Task order number 20 is the 2022 storm sewer improvement project. They continue with detailed design, developing contract drawings for the review with the village and to coordinate parcel-specific issues with property owners as needed. They discovered a potential conflict with an existing sanitary sewer which requires to adjust the slope of one section of the new storm sewer. And they will continue to coordinate with the surveyors on the easement work. This is also in Mr. Jordan's project. So, okay. Next, we have the task order number 22, 2022 CCTV inspection analysis. The village's regular cleaning and televising contractor is shutting down business at the end of this month. They have been contacting clients to identify potential contractors to perform this work in the future. They are recommending discussing options in January or February of 2023 to determine how to proceed with the 2023 village CCTV program. And task order number 23 is the Lake Master Planning Service. They visited the channel feeding the North Lake to begin preparing the technical memo detailing potential improvements to the area. And they began developing scopes of work for the topographic and okay. Oh, yeah, topographic and bathymetric survey of the lakes. I was like, wait, no, that's not what it was. Okay, so that is your Mike Flickinger report. Does anybody have any questions? All right, next we have legal team, Jesse.
Nothing formal that I want to note. There are two pieces of legislation tonight that we're requesting suspension rules required for three readings. One is ordinance 38 2022, that's just final supplemental appropriations this year. And the other one that just came over to you this morning, that's resolution 2022-36. That is following up on what we discussed last week about the snow removal services with London. It is a resolution that authorizes the mayor to enter a contract with London, basically not to exceed a certain amount of dollars, like we talked last week, the amount that makes the whole from the TIF. So that's what that is, so that we don't miss, so that we have snow removal services ready to go if we need. That's all.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions at this time for Jesse? All right, let's move over to Eric Fisher for Village Planning.
Thank you, Mayor. Two quick items to round here up. Building is moving along as expected. We do run into issues with the older structure. There was an extra 500 square feet of bad concrete over where the old EMP fire station was. That is being handled, and we'll have it separate grants to go as well. And on top of what Jesse stated, I did speak to John G. Marcus, administrator of the township today. He had a trustee meeting last night and went over the trustees are all good to go. With all the services will be there'll be no service at all. So there you go.
Does anybody have any questions for Eric? All right, John Canty's report is in the packet for our zoning officer. If anybody has any questions, problems, concerns, feel free to reach out to him or myself. Also, just as an FYI, there are no addresses listed on one of the pages. We had actually discussed that a couple different times, and the final answer was we didn't really want to put residents on blast. So that is why those addresses are not on there. It has been requested for multiple people that you at least give them the opportunity to take care of some of the things before you put them on blast. So once they're fine, or that maybe we continue to take it a little bit further. But in respect to some of our residents that either didn't know and they rectify that, they get it fixed as soon as possible. There's no reason to have all of their information put out there if they are willing to get it fixed in a timely fashion. So that's the answer for, and that was an email that came in, so I just wanted to address that. Next, we have planning and zoning, Brian.
Planning and zoning has not had a meeting since my last report. There is a meeting next Wednesday, 14th. Here in North France, at probably like 7 o'clock. There you go.
And that would also be AKA President.
That's fine.
All right, and then NPCA, Nicole's excused. I know that they have their children's party on Saturday. Does anybody have a time off the top of their head?
10 to noon.
10 to noon, and then Sunday is the trolley rides from 6 p.m. to 8, and that is at Hawthorne.
I believe you need to sign up and get the presents not for that already. So.
Correct. I believe that everything is on Facebook or on their website for that information, or reach out to somebody at NPCA if you have any problems, questions, or concerns. Let's go to communications. Councilperson Tresta is not here. I know that they have, I don't know. Does anybody on that committee want to comment on communications?
The big thing we're working on there, or we're looking to still work our way through, is a survey similar to what went out years ago to the residents, just collecting information, preferences, what are your home streets for the village, that sort of thing.
Awesome. All right.
But that is still a pretty early stage.
Perfect. Okay. Council President Wolf for finance.
Also got another finance meeting since my last report. But we have the budget, the 2023 budget, and a number of appropriations to assist in closing out 2022 interbanks legislation.
Thank you. And let's go to Councilperson Cost for Streets.
We haven't had a meeting yet, but we are planning on having one after the holidays. Things are still kind of going in the direction that we want to. We're still working on the Jordan Road project. Nothing's stopping for that, so we're just kind of waiting on final plans from Jacobs. I'm still in touch
and the Jordan Road, Cleveland Avenue pothole was fixed today.
Yeah, that was fixed today. Amazing. And then, as far as I know, I don't think we have had any issues with that pipe. I drove past it today. It's gone mysteriously, but if it reappears, then, you know, we'll take care of it as well.
Thank you. And councilperson camera for community.
Yes, so, we did have a community meeting this past week. Couple of highlights, we, have come up with pool fees for next year. We're doing the first reading tonight. The hope is that we have everything read and approved by the end of January, and can start selling pool memberships March 1st. Couple highlights from that this year that you'll see. We are not recommending any price increase for residents this year, leaving those fees the same. We are looking at partnering with MPCA for early bird registration that is for MPCA members only, or one that's larger for MPCA members at $25, and then residents can do 15 per one. You'll see that in the next legislation. And then added, I hope it's in here, I forgot to read it. Did we put the birthday party fee in? Maybe not.
I don't remember.
There might be a revision, we'll see.
I'm pretty sure it is.
But there, so many birthday parties at the pool, we decided to put something in there where you can get a party of 10 with 2 adults and get some ice cream and water for that as well. So it's a discount. So those are the new things. All the membership tiers that we had last year, we decided to move forward with those. And again, we'll see all of those in the ordinance that's in front of us tonight. We talked about concession. We are going to see a decrease in price on concession items next year. I think that's just a given. But we have removed all but one of the vending machines from the pool. I believe the last one will be out before the pool season opens, and we will be the sole way for guests to yeah. It is our recommendation, and obviously we have to work through the back end of this, but we talked about some alcohol in the pool. The pool manager, we wanted his input in that because he's the person that's down there 7 days a week, 8-9 hours a day, 10 sometimes. He is okay with beer or wine type items, but recommends that for next year we schedule those on certain weekend nights, 6 o'clock to the pool close, to see how that works. So the committee is okay with that recommendation from the pool manager. We'll like to proceed for that and work it. We are planning to purchase a new slide next year. We have focused on which one we want. We just have to get with the not the installer, but the person that would inspect it to make sure that we are meeting all the requirements for that full slide. And once we get that going, then we'll try to get that purchased next year. We have reached out to the chair vendor and have gotten a quote for new chairs for next year, which will be nice, some more new chairs. So if everything goes through with the budget tonight, we will be looking at 44 shade loungers and 40 new dining chairs that go around the picnic tables to be added next year. And those will be ordered in January. And so that was it for pool. So we did a lot from the pool, but again, we want to get that started early. We talked through the entrances and appreciate the work that was done on all the entrances. We think that there's some work still to do on those. And as we work with the landscape company for next year, we'll address those with them. We also talked about the amphitheater. Our recommendation, because we want to involve residents that live near the amphitheater, is to have an event there, just run electricity, get a generator or something like that, and have a bands perform or some event there so that we can get input from the neighbors on what that sounds like to them and what they'd like to see as we start making recommendations for for usage of that space. So more to come on that. And then we briefly talked about the shelter, and that proposition, mostly focused on, what we can do to address the concerns around basketball court. And so continued some small discussions around stop signs over there, parking, possibly maybe a reserve spots for if we put a shelter in, then you get a reserve spot over there, and cameras on the basketball court as part of the building. So, and that is really it for community. Any questions?
Okay. We're getting word that people can't really hear anything we're saying. So I know most of us talk loud, but if we could try to talk a little louder than we typically do. Just as an FYI, I don't know, I'm assuming it's because of that, but if we could just raise our voices a little bit more than we usually do, let's see if it works. Next, we have Councilperson McNamara.
We are not having a meeting with my office.
Perfect. Keep supposed to know that.
Yep, there may be one for anyone on the pending schedule.
Perfect. Thank you. And next, we have Councilperson Kruger for legislation.
All right, we did not have one in December. We normally have our second meeting for the second meeting. And with the work session that was Monday, going over legislation then, I did not deem it necessary for this meeting, so the next one will be before the second meeting in January. We have a full schedule of legislation tonight. Most of it is legislation that is on its third reading, though, and has been discussed prior.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions for Councilperson Kruger on legislation? All right. Well, mayor's report. I'm usually, I try to keep it a little short and brief and all that. I can't promise that it's going to be that way tonight. Obviously, we're at the end of the year, so I just kind of want to tell everybody some of the updates that we have for this year, and also thank so many people that keep this village running day in and day out. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and then hopefully everybody knows I talk fast too, so hopefully that helps. So starting with Chief. Working with him every single day it's wonderful. We have a chief that does care about this village. He cares about this police department. He shows up every day, has a smile on his face, no matter what. Some days it's probably harder than others, but here he is. Lieutenant Phillips, Sergeant Fowl, and all of the police department, again, show up every single day. They keep our village safe. They run through the village constantly. Whether it's something minor, major, every single one is here. So I can't thank them enough for everything that they do. And again, we have had a great last couple of years of just not having complaints or anything like that, or anything that I see as being a problem. So again, Chief, you are running a phenomenal police department, and I thank you for making my life a lot easier by not having problems. So again, I thank you guys. Leah Klein is not here. She kind of does a little bit of everything, and I kind of say that about Barb as well. She works with our police day in and day out. She also does a lot of our financing, and without her, I can easily say that things would not run the way that they run. She is there every single day. She is one of our most reliable person that we have had, and it is very difficult, as we know, with some people that we've gone through. It's very difficult to find reliable people, and Leah is definitely one of those. Jeff is a new addition. Our finance team, he is absolutely incredible. Again, we laughed quite a bit in there, but he definitely has gotten this finance, our budget. We've been able to do things that none of us thought we were going to be able to do. So again, thank you to both of them. And then of course Barb. Barb is here, so I know she hates when I say certain things, but again, without Barb, I have absolutely no idea what we would do. Barb comes in every single day. She does everything for you guys. I would like to take credit for a lot of the things that she does, but honestly, I won't. She keeps me, she reminds me. I think she probably even tells me when I have a doctor's appointment. So Barb is phenomenal. And again, it's so nice to wake up every single morning and know that everything, it runs completely without me. I hate to say that, but it does. Without me, it would be fine. And then of course, Brian, you have worked with a couple great seasonal people, part-timers, but at the end of the day, you are, I hate to say a one-man show, but you have really, you bust your butt every single day. And again, we thank you. Code enforcement officer, again, same thing. Day in and day out, he comes in, he gets some stuff done. Eric, again, you're one of the other ones that without you, I have absolutely no idea what I would do. So every once in a while we do butt heads, but I guess that's the fun part of it. But again, without you dealing with Westerville City Schools and in my homes and some of the resident questions, problems, without you, I have no idea what I would do. Jesse, everybody at your firm has been phenomenal. We have actually needed them more than we probably needed them in the last however many years. Probably since the In My Homes thing. We have used quite a few people at Ross Brown Todd, and again, every single person there has been phenomenal. Our engineer, Mike Flickinger, and the whole Jacobs team, Stacey, you will definitely agree with this. Without him, we would not have worked with sewers probably at this point. So he is so easy to work with and just always gets back to me within hours. And then, of course, everybody sitting up here for getting the legislation passed for the building. And the legislation that we have for the TIF, the bond and all of that, getting that done so we can get the building done, the lakes. The number one thing I wanted to do when I started here in 2022 was to get the lakes moving in the building and the East Shore Port project. That's been tens of years trying to get that done. Now the Jordan Road project should be done by the end of 2023. So without you guys, that legislation would not have passed. And I don't think you guys know what that means to a lot of residents. I know, unfortunately, sometimes we hear the negative, but it is nice to kind of walk through the streets and hear people how excited they are to see the progress that the building has and knowing that their lakes are actually going to get done this time. Planning and zoning. All of the volunteers, Brady, actually I'm not going to name all of their names because I'll probably miss one and then I'll get in trouble, but planning and zoning is always our group that's forgotten, but they spend a lot of time. Don't worry, I'm almost done. They spend a lot of time, volunteer hours, and I don't ever want them to think that their work goes unnoticed. And then of course MPCA. MPCA does so much great work with the kids, all the kids programs, and we wouldn't have time for those types of things. So again, I'm very grateful. I'm so excited for next year. They've got some good things planned for next year. Last but not least, definitely not, our pool staff and John. Pool season is always my favorite time of the year. Everybody knows that. So John is, we talk about reliability with some of these people, but there's never a day I have to worry about if the pool's going to open or if it's going to open on time. So he runs that pool 7 days a week for however many weeks it is, and never have to worry about it. So again, everybody here, thank you so much for a great year, because I feel like the number one thing I heard, and I ran into somebody at Kroger today, so if you're watching this, you will laugh, but it's nice to see these things get done, and to actually have a resident in the middle of nowhere say how excited they are to see some things get done. It makes you realize that what you're doing is worth it. So that's the end of my report. I appreciate you guys, and now let's get to citizen comments.
This is the portion of our meeting where we invite any residents or any public here to come up and address council. State your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Should have added you to my list. Sure.
I want to talk about the email that I sent out, and I do appreciate Jason making me come back and share your thoughts about leash law. My mayor, just one of my emails about code I'd like to respectfully disagree with your assumption that the address is going to be beyond that report, because that's a public record. Now, what you're saying is that now I've asked to have this put on the report, and so now I'm going to have to go in and put in a public record request every month, get the addresses for the violations that the code enforcement officer. So Jesse, if you could please, talk to the mayor about that, because that's what's going to end up happening. If you don't do that, they're going to create more work. Why don't you just put the addresses on the donor report? Because I want to see what you guys are, what the code enforcement officer is doing, and who he's, confronting about their fence being bad, for instance, on these two things on the report this month. Now, I sent out other questions, Mayor, that was in the same email. Where does it say you need to get a permit for a driveway or a path? I continue to ask that. Eric's come back with what use of right of way is what his opinion was, the part of the code that says you need a permit to install a driveway. I respectfully disagree with him. And I've asked this question repeatedly, and Brian, at the end of last year, said, "Oh yeah, I found it, but I can't remember what it is." And so if you found it, why are you having trouble finding it again? That's what I'm saying. And it goes to communication here, guys. It's horrible. If you look at the newsletter, it says if you want to get an update for legislation, you go to government, tab legislation. Well, if you go to that, the only thing that you'll find are the ordinances that have already been passed, and they haven't been updated since the end of October. So if anybody wanted to understand what's going on, what you're about to do, you have to go to the agenda package. You have to understand. I know how to find it, but I don't think the majority of the residents understand that the only way you can find out anything here, guys, is you got to go to the website. You got to go listen to the meetings that you can't hear, or look at the minutes. So the communication is horrible. It's just the worst it's ever been. That's why we created a communications committee, was to address those issues. And now you guys are talking about getting rid of that or minimizing. It should be a full-time job to every month the council get together and decide what it is that they want to inform the residents about and how to go about doing it. Because right now, the mayor's report says go to the website basically, and then you have to really know how to navigate the website to figure anything out. It's got to the point where there were 7 views of this meeting, the last council meeting. So if residents are supposed to understand, or I can't see how you expect residents to understand what's going on by going to the website when there's it's hard to find information. So I really would like to get an answer to those questions. Where's the city permit for a patio and a driveway? And I'd like to see the address on the report. I don't think that's asking too much. But you want more public record?
Thank you so much. And we have other citizens, as Council President would remind me. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Okay. Moving right along. The legislation.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we do have quite a list of legislation to go through, and most of them are third readings looking to get passed tonight, so let's get right into it. The first one being ordinance number 30, 2022, an ordinance to amend the codified ordinances of the Village of Minerva Park to include section 618.20 regarding keeping certain animals under direct control. This is a third reading. I know we've talked about it in council before. This actually ups our current leash law, which just says you need to have a leash unless your animal is under reasonable control. It was thought particularly by, I pointed out her that she's here, I heard she's not, Councilperson Shrestha, that that's a little bit too fuzzy, so we moved to the direct control language that many other municipalities use. This is the third reading, and I move passage.
We'll see.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Is there any debate on it? All right.
Councilperson McNamara. Councilperson Ruger.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron. Council President Wong.
Okay. Moving on to ordinance 32, 2022. The ordinance to make appropriations for the current expenses of the village of Minerva Park for the year 2023. I know we have a couple of these, Mayor. Do you want to speak to which one this is real quick?
Hey, you guys can-
Oh, I'm sorry. This is our budget. This is the big one. I know we have, yeah. Yeah, I had one, I'm sorry, for fiscal year 2023. I know we're doing some stuff with the leftover
Yes.
EMS funds, I didn't want to.
30, 22, or?
No.
That is 30, 22, no, it's 32, 25.
Oh,
Which we got off on.
Go ahead.
Yep. So this is next year's budget. Sorry, guys. That's what I should have been able to tell you about. And the fact that it is, I think it's just that the Exhibit A is not attached to my paper form, as that would be tons and tons of printing. This is our budget for next year. We've talked about it, and I move that we pass it. Second. Moved in second. Did anyone want to talk about anything?
Yeah, but Cameron and costs also. Be the third out.
Which kind of tells you about how it's going to go as far as the vote, but let's all hang on and just wait and see.
Okay. Council President Wong.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
Councilperson Ruger.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
All right, moved and passed. All right, moving on. Ordinance 33, 2022, an ordinance updating the wage and salary ranges, the number of employees and positions for the village of Minerva Park, and declaring an emergency. The main changes here are in our police force. Compensation, we bumped up a little bit to put us more in line with other local municipalities, so we can hire and maintain a quality police force. I move that we pass as an emergency.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone with anything to say?
All right. Councilperson Ruger.
All right.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Council President Wong.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
And I almost forgot to mention, the reason we're passing that as an emergency along with this next one is so that they can go into effect on January 1st, the next calendar year, which brings us to ordinance 34, 2022, an ordinance establishing health care benefits for employees and the mayor, and authorizing the purchase of health insurance and declaring an emergency. As mentioned, the emergency is so it can take effect January 1, otherwise people's benefits will lapse. And I move that we pass it as an emergency. Moved and seconded. Any debate?
Council President Wong.
Aye.
Councilperson Ruger.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
All right, now we'll get into the things I thought we had earlier. Ordinance 35, 2022 is an ordinance to rescind ordinance 23, 2015, EMS vehicle and related equipment fund, and to declare an emergency. As most people know, we used to have part-time EMS service. We had money to pay those workers. We put aside, what was it, $25,000 a year to bank for new EMS vehicles every 5 years, something like that. Anyway, there was a fair amount of money put into that fund. We no longer run our own EMS, and this is finally closing some of those last things down. I move, this being a third reading, I move passage as an emergency so we can get it off the books for the next fiscal year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any debate?
Councilperson Berger.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
All right, moving on to ordinance 36, 2022, an ordinance to establish funds and declare an emergency. This is going to be funds for the storm sewer improvement fund for next year, as well as a pool fund, a pool improvement fund to start squirreling away money in that for the hopefully long away but inevitable catastrophe that eventually pool space.
Nice way to say it.
Well, it's what, 60 years old?
Yes.
60-year-old concrete in there. I moved to pass as an emergency. I'm sorry, I think I did not.
I was moved seconded, second time.
All right, moved and seconded. Any debate?
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Berger.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Okay, ordinance 37, 2022, an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for the current expenses of the Village of Mineral Park for the year 2022. Yeah, this is making this year, Brian. I believe, if I remember correctly, a lot of this is because of the police department, who I believe we're gonna have gas money, or we're coming close to that, or we're over budget on that.
This is the VAC one.
This is the what?
No, that's this one.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, 'cause the next
Sorry,
one-
yeah, I don't have the, things. Okay, so this is finally moving that money out of the fund. This has got 4 of them that are all about that. We do not need to pass this as emergency, but I need to move to passage, and I apologize for the confusion if anyone out there is watching.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Okay. Councilperson, okay, wait, who seconded? Councilperson Berger. Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
Yeah. So this is the one I was
The
thinking
next
about.
one, yeah, that's this one.
All right, ordinance 38, 2022, an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for the current expenses of the Village of Mineral Park for the year 2022. This is finally the one that I've been thinking all the other ones were all along, where we have a shortage of funds to pay some of our employees and need to appropriate money to finish out the year. So, good, it finally showed up.
This is also the one we need to wait for.
And this is also the one that we need to waive readings, since I assume, recently found out when we need this money, we need to get it reasonably soon. All right, so I guess my first motion is that we waive the second and third reading. Moved and seconded. Anyone have any objections to that, or debate, or things they want to say in general? All right.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Berger.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
All right, having waived the reading, second and third reading, I will move for passage.
Second.
Any debate? All right, Mayor Hughes.
Councilperson
Sorry.
McNamara. No, you're good. Councilperson McNamara. Councilperson Berger.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
All right, moving on to our own happy little internal world. A resolution adopting the rules of council for the council of the village of Minerva Park for 2023. Not a lot of changes for people to know about. If you were listening early, Mr. Benedetti talked about changes to the communication committee. There's actually in this one a sort of a reshuffling of some duties that is affected by that. Communications is being changed over to services, and the community committee is being renamed the Recreation and Parks Committee, as pools, lakes, and most of the things they deal with could be considered our parkland. Other than that, meetings continue on Thursday. Pledge of Allegiance stays at the top of the agenda, and
Calendar's updated for the year.
calendar has been updated for the year.
And
That is council meeting calendar. Of course, committee meetings meet at different times when the committee is available.
we've been working on some
All right.
I think it's important to point out that we're not taking communications out, we're just changing the title. Correct. It's still a part of that committee, so communications are still important.
Yes, the News Services Committee, just why not? Their blurb is to provide oversight regarding refuse removal, leaf pickup, maintenance of village property, and to provide support for effective and timely communications to village residents. This is accomplished in the support of the village administration, mayor, and so I move for passage. It's just a regular third reading. You just have to pass it regularly. Moved and seconded by Councilperson Cameron.
Any discussion? Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara. Aye. Councilperson Bruger.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
All right, for Resolution 2022-34, resolution authorizing the transfer of funds and declaring an emergency. We're going to be transferring $93,600 from the general fund to the Storm Sewer Improvement Fund. That's right, let's get East Shore Court finished. And,
Jordan.
this is the Jordan?
Yes.
Okay, so this is in Shore and East Shore. All right, this is for the Jordan Road. That's all the same area.
Close enough.
I move that we pass as an emergency.
Second.
I'm giving it to Cost. This is her baby.
My baby.
Okay.
Any discussion on that? People are waiting for me.
Okay, this is 2022-34, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we skipped one, so I'm.
We did, I don't have it, but it's on my agenda, so I'll read that next.
Totally fine, I just want to make sure that for the
Yep, no,
record, this is 34.
Jason was right on my shoulder with it.
Perfect. Okay. Councilperson Bruger.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
All right, and the one that got everyone confused because I skipped over it, Resolution 2022-32, a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into various reoccurring contracts, necessary for the continuous operations of the village with an intent to pass as an emergency. There is a approved list that council looks at of various vendors whose services are regularly needed throughout the course of the year. This approves the mayor to enter into contract with those without having to come before council every time. I believe there's a price limit on it. There's a price limit of $50,000. Anything above that, and of course, the council needs to approve those funds. Yeah. I move to pass that as an emergency.
Councilperson Berger.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara. Aye. Councilperson Cameron.
Okay, moved and passed. All right, our penultimate legislation tonight, Resolution 2022-35, a resolution establishing fees for membership for the Minerva Park Pool for the 2023 summer season. First reading. Prices aren't going up, memberships aren't going up for residents. Daily rate?
$12.15 per holiday.
Any 5 after 5 or anything? Okay, I need to well, anyway. All right, well, that has been read. Are those fee structures, I do take it online, legislation you can find them? Okay. So, Resolution 2022-36, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Glendon Township to provide snow removal services for the Village of Minerva Park and declaring an emergency. Obviously, the emergency for this is winter is here soon, I imagine. Some background on this. We are, of course, our own independent village, but we are also part of Glendon Township, which is why we get to vote for trustees and whatnot. Part of our property taxes, of course, go to Glendon Township. One of the things they do with that, other than maintain things like the senior center, which as a Minerva Park resident, you can go to because you're part of Glendon Township. They also do snow removal. As part of the TIF agreement we entered into for money for the building, we have locked off the property taxes that they would normally receive from all the new MI homes. But we still expect them to plow those streets, even though the houses on those streets are not contributing. This would essentially make them whole just on that. An amount not to exceed $20,000. I believe $17,000 was on the rough estimate of how much they're losing from the TIF. Essentially what they're saying is, and what we agree with is, you're still going to plow the streets. We should, that's a pressing enough thing that we should pay that. And we are looking to waive readings on this so we can pass it before we get our first snowstorm sometime in February. We probably could have waited. Never get to have snow in December. But anyway, I move we waive the second, third reading. Second. You never do. You never do. Sometimes in January.
Okay, does anybody want to have any discussions on, I know we've already talked about it. All right.
This is just waiving reading.
All right. Councilperson Berger.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Councilperson Cost. Aye. Councilperson McNamara. Aye.
All right, having waived the second and third readings, I can now move to pass it as an emergency.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any debate? All right.
Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara. Aye. Councilperson Cameron.
Aye.
Council President Wolf. Councilperson Berger.
Aye. And so ends legislation for this evening.
All right. Does anybody have any old business that they would like to discuss?
As part of whole business, and on behalf of council, I would also take this opportunity to thank the mayor for what she has done for the village.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
So,
That's great. Does anybody have any more old business? Anybody have any new business?
adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
One hour.
Yeah.
How about that?